Hey guys. So I feel like I haven't checked in with you guys for I think it feels like a couple of weeks, and I'll have to go back and check on that and see when it was last that I actually kind of gave you guys an update. One of the things that is really interesting is there's so much personal reflection going on during this time. And thank you, by the way, for all of you who have been commenting. The page is slowly growing, but there are so many people, once you start researching, and listening and looking for other people that are going through the same thing that you are, the algorithm starts bringing these people to you. And the thing is that there's so many people going through similar things, and also so many people that are, midlifers, even seniors, that all of a sudden, their husbands are just wanting to divorce them. And I know it happens the other way around too, so I don't want to discourage any men from listening to this channel too, because it does happen both ways, where later in life people want divorce, and in general just going through divorce is difficult. And I'm getting comments from people from all ages that are going through this, but it's particularly really difficult when you're later in life, because I think you feel like you thought that your life was kind of settled and that you were just going to build on it, and that you weren't going to have to go through any major life changes. And then all of a sudden this stuff happens to you. So there's a couple of things, in the last couple of weeks that I've been processing through that I can share with you. And one of the first things is that I'm realizing that, first of all, there's a lot of men posting Instagram videos and other things where they're really, really helping women, and they're doing that by sharing man-to-man kind of knowledge, where they're saying, basically talking to other men and how they're mistreating women. And one of the things that's really come up for me is making yourself this is hard to kind of put into words, but one of the realizations that I had is that as a woman, being strong and being powerful and knowing how to get things done, it's almost like you're penalized for it, because men want you to have everything together, and the thing that they really like you for, they end up hating you for later. And it's really difficult, because I'm a strong and powerful woman. I'm confident in myself. I've created a business for myself, and I'm proud of myself, right? And so that thing has, allowed me to, work for myself and make a living, and make me even more confident. But what I'm finding, or what I found for myself, and also what I'm finding listening to other people's stories and listening to men talk about how men are doing this to women, is that they want us to be independent, and they want us to share the bill, and they want us to, to have our own money and be successful. But with that comes independence and power, knowing that you're powerful. And what ends up happening is, later on down the road, they start to say that you're emasculating them because you're powerful and independent and all these things. And because they start to put you in the mommy role of you taking the lead on everything, them asking you questions about things and how things work, and you end up being the teacher. And with you constantly being asked to take the lead on things, or the more covert thing that tends to happen is that, like in my case, they don't ask you to take the lead. They just don't take any lead at all. And so because you're an independent, get it done woman, you step in and you start taking the lead. You start filling the gaps. You start taking initiative to do things because things need to be done and they're not getting done. And this is just who you are as a person. This is who I am as a person. I do that. The problem that ends up happening is that, and it's kind of unfair because they won't take the lead in things. They want you to do it. But then later on, they say you emasculated them because you did exactly what you needed to do because it wasn't getting done. It's really frustrating, and so listening to a lot of other people, I just realized within myself upon reflection that I will never make myself small ever again. I will never be apologetic for being independent. I will never be apologetic for running my own business and being smart enough to do that. I will never apologize for having the wherewithal and the confidence to make decisions when decisions need to be made. I will never make apologies for getting things done when something needs getting done. I'm not going to make myself small anymore for anybody. So, and this is not something I set out to do, but what I realized is that when being with someone who has a confidence issue or they need mothering, and you end up stepping in to fill that gap, the very thing that they are needy for, they end up hating you for later and then telling you that you were emasculating simply because you were being who you are. And that I will never apologize for again. I will never make myself small so that someone else who's insecure and puts you in that mother position, which is not good for any relationship because that's the beginning of the end. I will never make myself small ever, and I will never apologize anymore, or it's not that I was apologizing before, but I will never allow myself to feel like something is wrong with the way I am or the way I do things because somebody else is not confident in their own life, someone else is passive in their own life, someone who is not taking charge in their own life, and they are comparing themselves to me who does not have any of those things. And somehow there's something wrong with me because I made them feel a certain way. No one makes you feel anything. You choose to feel that way. You choose to be insecure. You choose to feel emasculated. Because you see what I'm saying is like, there's two sides to every coin. There's a story on both ends, and where one person can say, oh, you emasculated me, I could turn around and say, you masculated me. I didn't want to be the person making all the decisions. I wanted a partnership. I didn't want to be the man of the relationship, but I was forced to do that because life requires decisions. Life requires you to take charge of your own life. Life requires you to pay bills and to make something of yourself. And if the person that you're with is not partnering with you to do that, you're going to step in and fill that gap, and then they're going to hate you for it later because you're too powerful, too emasculating. No. You aren't too anything. So something that I heard that I am going to share this with you, and I absolutely love it, is if someone is telling you that you're too much or you're too extra, maybe it's just that they're too basic. And that's all I have to say about that. Bye. Please help out my channel by liking and subscribing.